Hello people and welcome to the Party Starters podcast with me, Kane Towning. This guest went from playing at Yates's to playing on the biggest stage in Leeds, Leeds Arena. He was a resident DJ, had quite a lot of work, playing at a lot of commercial venues, and he flipped that to become a touring artist, getting booked all around the country and becoming a headline act, putting on his own headline shows, which led into the biggest show of his career, which was Leeds Arena. I want to find out, how has he done that? How has he gone from playing at Yates's to selling out his own headline show at Leeds Arena? How he had the balls to do that and what that felt like. So welcome to the Party Starters podcast, Danny T. Welcome to the Party Starters podcast with me, Kane Towning.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Big Danny T in the hizzy. Hello. How we doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm really good.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for coming on. Let's get straight into it. Danny, you was the ultimate resident DJ. You was super busy playing 5, sometimes 7 nights a week at various venues. Really busy and getting a decent wage, probably 150 to 250 upwards per night. And you then took that to the next level of becoming a touring DJ, a headline act, creating a real brand behind your name. And firstly, if you are a resident DJ, there is nothing wrong with that. If you're comfortable with that and in that position, then that's absolutely fine.
That's always something that I would be more than happy to go back to. If like it's not like I've outgrown it, I'm better than that. It's not. It's just I've transitioned.
Yeah, we're not saying there's anything wrong with being a resident DJ. The purpose of this podcast and bringing you on is to let hundreds, thousands of DJs in that position who want to get more bookings, get on them festival lineups, get touring to other cities, other countries. That's why I've brought you on this podcast, to let people know your story of how you did that, how you went from DJing 5 to 7 nights a week in venues like Yates's to then touring the country and putting on your own headline shows, which led into the biggest motherfucking show Leeds has seen, which was Danny T at Leeds Arena. So let's get to it. How did you first make that step?
First of all, in order to go from a resident to being a bookable act, the only thing that matters to a promoter or a venue owner is that people want to leave their house to come and see you. So focusing on that was always something I had in my mind, that the only way to progress is for people to be like, oh my God, I love what you do. I have to leave my house and pay to go see you. That is literally, as that is all that matters. Unless you're attached to a big brand or something like that and tour with the brand. To tour as a solo act, it's all about hard ticket sales. It's all about a fan base. It's about perception of what you do as well. Like if I was going around doing big sets, I'd have video content going online to show that I was doing big sets. So people will see that, club promoters will see that, and an audience will see that and go, I want to see him do that big set in my local club, or I want to book that DJ to do that big set in my local club. That looks amazing. That looks crazy. That looks really good. So it all kind of started for me when I started to build a following. It was on SoundCloud. It started as, which got heavily, heavily boosted by summer seasons abroad in Malia, where I had like a power hour set where I'd come into the club that I was the resident at. I was still a resident, but I was almost billed at the club like a headline act. So I'd come on and do this power hour set that people were like blown away by that set compared to the rest of the sets, because that's how it was set out. It was set out for me to go and do this power hour and not really like read the crowd and warm them up. It was just bang, straight in, all the big tunes, drops people have never heard, and the level of excitement in the club had to go up. And in a sense, and I was giving thousands and thousands of CDs away at this point as well, with like my social handle written on all the CDs.
Yeah, one thing you did one thing you did very well, I remember you seeing out. I used to watch your socials when you was out in Malia. You was really good at that content. You was filming all them massive drops, and you couldn't get away from your branding. It was heavily branded. Danny T. There was Danny T CDs, Danny T T-shirts. You had the Danny T voice tags on the mixes.
I'd go out there with like 5 or 6 mixes, burn on loads of CDs, give them to every bar in Malia. Say there's 60 bars or something like that at the time. They would all be playing. There's still people playing like a Malia 2014 CD in their bars. They'll be playing it this summer. They played it last summer. And It's Danny T jingle was just flooding the whole. Every pool bar were playing my CDs. Every bar was playing my CDs before their DJ started, or if they didn't have a DJ. That's all that was kind of being played. So it was my job to progress. That if you went to Malia, you couldn't leave without of hearing who Danny T is or hearing the jingle. And then people would go home, search for it on SoundCloud or whatever. And that's what really boosted my SoundCloud mixes and my social profiles, was people coming home and talking to their friends about it, going to uni. So somebody might have seen me from Brighton and then gone to uni in Portsmouth and told all their friends, oh, we need to listen to this mix. I did like a freshers mix drinking game straight after a summer season. So everyone's playing this drinking game and telling their friends about this drinking game that might have never heard of me. By the end of the mix, they've definitely heard of me. I might be playing in their city, might have got a booking in their city, and they've played the drinking game. They've listened to more and more mixes. They follow me on Instagram. They now want to go see me DJ. That's where the value comes from being a resident. It's not a resident's job to sell tickets as such. It's more a resident DJ's job to do a perfect start to finish set, progress the night, take them on a journey, play the bangers when the bangers need playing, but warm them up correctly, not just go in and hold the night and make the whole package of the night incredible so that people remember that and keep going back to that venue. It's not necessarily like, you could have the best resident in the country, somebody that's championed it for 10 years, but you put them at the top of a lineup 200 miles away and nobody will have heard of them. And the only way to have heard of them is through releasing music or mixes or online content, or we'll say like social media stunts, but I've not really seen that work too much. That's more of an American kind of thing. But that's kind of the only way to. And essentially, I was a DJ that didn't know how to produce. Learning to produce is something that's come afterwards. The working hard on music is now that's my next part of my journey. Now I've got my own tracks ready that I've sat there and worked on myself. That these next releases are what's going to hopefully take me to the next level from just being Danny T the DJ, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So just to summarise what you said, you already had the residency in Malia.
Well, that was built up over a few years. You could literally turn up. I literally turned up the first time I went. I turned up there just to go get pissed for a full summer. And if I got some work that paid that was fine. I started on €20, €30 a night.
And then you used the venue you was playing at and, everything you'd learned over there to really turn that from a resident set to a main set, into a headline set. And then from that headline set, a full club of people and all the big drops, you created all the content from that and you built your brand from that. The people coming to see you over there then went back to the UK, heard your mixes, looked into you more, and then that's when you started getting booked in different cities.
Yeah. And now even like the content, the Instagram content's probably higher. It's all video content now, but the mixes are not going out anywhere near as much as they were. But I found over the last couple of years, each time I go to a new club that I've not played at or I've played at before, the response, the crowd, the ticket sales are still growing. It's like one of the best ways is definitely just, if you've done something good once, like you've done a really good set on a New Year's Eve in whatever town or city, people who are in that room are going to go and tell all their friends. The next time you play, more people will turn up. Because there are some people in the club that probably won't have heard of you. that have bought tickets because other people have gone, but then they'll tell their friends, and it just all grows like that. That's just how it's worked for me.
Yeah, I spoke to Nathan Dorr, and he had a similar path. He used his platform in Zante, and especially SoundCloud. His mixes on SoundCloud were huge and pretty much blew up overnight. SoundCloud is very much a dying platform now. It's nowhere near as good as it was for putting mixes.
It used to be great for producers' tracks as well, and it's just not what it was. Spotify's kind of taken over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of put a bit of a halt on like the bootleg world.
Yeah.
Of tracks that are massive vocals that have been stolen from tracks before, not like illegally stolen, but taken from old tracks that people love. There's loads of bootlegs that are still doing well and still charting, but they've had to get them kind of cleared legally so that it can go on Spotify. Otherwise, it's just your only platforms are YouTube or SoundCloud for bootleg stuff.
Mm-hmm. So taking SoundCloud kind of out of the mix, because I think it's pretty much dead in terms of using that platform to really boost yourself. What is next? What would you advise someone to use?
There was Dean Mack, the mashup DJ. His was never SoundCloud. He blew up from Facebook videos that were just getting millions and millions. He were playing that many vocals and tracks in such a way that people were like, oh my God, this sounds sick. And some of his videos were getting millions of views. And then the next minute, he's no longer a good resident at like Medication in Liverpool, massive student night. He had to leave that residency on whatever a decent resident's money to then go and tour around the country on probably triple the wage. And then some. You can keep building on that as well. The more people who pay to see you, the more you can charge.
Yeah. I guess it's content is key. You've got to be putting content out there. You've got to be putting good content out there. And if SoundCloud isn't a thing anymore, then you've got to look at what the next thing is. Facebook, Instagram.
There's literally been DJs built from these live streams while people have been locked down. And I'm not just talking like the old school house, old school bass line, funky house, not just that world. There's going to be a lot of £500 to £1,000 DJs coming out of the R&B world.
Mm-hmm.
that have blown up in a similar way to how Rusky did, except without not SoundCloud. It's using Instagram lives and things like that. There's been a big shake up in a lot of industries while this lockdown. We're only in week 5, and there's been a big shake up. There's DJs that'll have probably been between 50 and 75 quid a set that'll come out of this getting paid 500 quid to £1,000 because they put bums on seats. That's it. They literally sell tables, they sell bottles, they sell tickets. People want to see them because one thing that this relates back to Malia was, you go to Malia on holiday, part of your experience of your holiday was me DJing, you seeing me DJ, and I've made part of your amazing experience more amazing. We're in quite a bad experience right now, but people are giving that lifeline, that extra bit of positivity by putting these live streams out. As soon as we're allowed to open clubs, you want to go see that guy that you've had an amazing time in the worst time possible, cheering you up. He's been cheering you up every Friday for 3 hours. You want to go and see that guy. There's going to be people from the South Coast traveling up to Birmingham, traveling to Manchester to see these DJs that have, I suppose, given them a lifeline, make them feel really good and bring back, some of the music they're playing. They're not playing tracks that you or I can't download. They're not playing tunes that you can't get hold of. They're not playing exclusives. They're just playing urban bangers, but it's working so well for some of them. I've seen live streams go from 60 people tuned in on Instagram. They've gone live every night for a fortnight. By the end of it, they've got 3,000 people locked in every time they go on Instagram. And it's just, those people are going to buy tickets. Those people are going to pay to come and see those acts.
Yeah, it's so true what you said about giving customers an experience. If you give someone an experience, one, they're going to come back, you're going to turn them into a fan, and they're going to tell other people. If you've had a good experience, and it works both ways, if you've had a bad experience, you're the first one to tell people. If you've had a good experience, you'll tell people. So it's about giving people an experience. And going back to, SoundCloud and what to use now, there's always a platform available, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube. You've got lots of platforms at your disposal. So create content, get creative, because you've got these platforms at your disposal. It's up to you to use them.
And it's not just like if you're just a DJ stood behind the decks playing tracks that people know, and you just mixing from track to track to track to track, they could go and see 200 people do that live right now on Instagram or Facebook. You've got to have a unique selling point. You've got to have like one DJ that blew up, has blown up in like the urban world, like I was just saying, was because Maya Jama locked into one of his live streams and commented on it. And he knows a few of those sort of people. But that was his unique selling point. Like, imagine if, Derek from down the road says, oh, this guy's good, listen to it. You're going to go, no. Maya Jama tells you, you're probably going to check it out. So that was a unique selling point, that the fact that this guy is now a celebrity DJ. He's now a DJ's DJ. He's like, all the acts love him now. And he's got like Bizzle.
Who is it?
He's called Continental GT. He's a Nuage resident from Birmingham. And he's getting like 4,000 people on Instagram locking in every time he goes live.
Right, wicked.
It's just gone mad. He's like, he's going to have a lot of people knocking at his door wanting to book him for £1,000 after this, I'll tell you.
I'm going to hit him up right now. So what was your unique selling point?
Hit him up before this goes live.
Yeah. What was Danny T's unique selling point? How did you...
I've always put like 110% of energy into every set. You'll have seen me after my sets where you're like, you're right, mate. Oh, why did I hug Danny? I feel like I've just been in the shower. Where you're literally like, oh, Danny, you sucked. Like, yeah, I went for it up there. I didn't just stand and play music. Me going just as crazy as the crowd was always a part of it. The high energy sets, like I'll rattle through 90 tunes in a 60-minute set. So fast mixing and this technical ability that could then be transitioned into videos was always a part of me. It was kind of a bit of skill on the decks combined with the mic work, combined with the fact that I'm 6'4" and I walk in a room and everybody turns around because I'm the biggest guy in the room anyway. Well, maybe not anymore, but I was always the biggest guy in the room, and that did actually work for me. That was part of my identity. It's one of the reasons why I'm so recognizable. Obviously, I'm not telling everybody to go out and start eating loads of food and becoming big so that they can get noticed. But
yeah, it's definitely the energy, and it goes back to the experience as well, giving people an experience. You're not just head down DJing, which if it's more of a musical journey that someone's taking you on again, that's an experience. But
the DJs that don't go crazy, that head down cool as anything, like a lot of drum and bass DJs are like that. A lot of techno DJs are like that. A lot of house DJs are like that. And they still sell loads and loads of tickets. It's not, this is the only recipe, so you have to have loads of energy, otherwise you're not going to sell tickets. But it can work, and that's what did work for me. If I'd have just mixed in quite a slow, progressive way and taken them on a journey, I genuinely don't think I'd have anywhere near the following or the ticket selling capabilities that I do. I think that was part of me and who I was as a character.
Yeah, and you used your character and your appearance to your advantage.
Yeah.
Going back to the appearance, there is obviously a bad side of that, putting yourself in the kind of firing line with that. And you especially have had some fucking disgusting stuff said online in particular. How has that been? How have you dealt with that? And
do you know what it is, right? When it happens, when stuff happens, you fuming. Like, you can't not get angry. We're all human. You can't. Step one, my manager vets everything before I see it. That was step one. So if I put a video out, I sometimes put videos out that I know are not controversial. That's the wrong word. I played a set in Scotland. Fresher's just gone in September, and I mixed a Lewis Capaldi tune into a stinking jump up drum and bass tune. That was always going to get a lot of negative press as well as a lot of positives online, but I did it on purpose because I knew it was going to get a reaction. So my manager will sit there and just mute all the bad comments, so that if I don't even go on it anymore, but I used to. You love seeing all this love. You love seeing like, oh my God, you're amazing. This is ace. This is brilliant. Like, it's really nice to see all that, but it's not worth me even seeing that to kind of get put down by the negatives. So the first thing was just have that taken away from me. I can't see the negatives. I only see them if they, I'm just by chance scrolling and it's just come in kind of thing. But I've literally seen careers that of friends that I've got. I saw a video of a bootleg track, someone playing it in Ministry of Sound, and he shared it, and the first 2 hours of him sharing that video, it had done 100,000 views, unsponsored, no marketing budget behind it whatsoever, just an organic 100,000 views. It was flying. Like this video was going to get a million views plus with the way that it was moving. And he couldn't take the amount of abuse on it because he had all the notifications on his phone. All this abuse coming up because you're putting yourself out there that much. You've got to get a lot of love. To get a lot of love, you have to get hate as well, because not everyone can love everything. That's just not how the world works. Ed Sheeran's probably the biggest artist in the world, but he'll still get lots of hate because he's so out there, and not everyone can love or hate. Not everybody can just love you. And he was sat there with all these bad notifications as well as good ones, but there was probably 75% good to 25% bad. And all the bad ones were coming in, and he was literally like sat at home shaking, and he deleted the video. I guarantee that video alone would have taken him from 500 quid to $2,000 a set easily, and got him 20, 50 bookings maybe off the back of one big tune doing well. Like it's possible for a bootleg to project your career. It happened with Holy Goof. He was doing really well anyway, and then the God's Plan bootleg blew up, millions and millions of views straight away. He's top of the pile, and everybody in the country wants to book him. And that's where this act, I don't want to say who it is because I don't watch it, but you'll know.
Say it, just say it.
No, I can't be upset. I know he'll be upset if I say it, because he rang me up and said, I've had to delete this video. I guarantee that video would have changed his career 100%.
And what was it? Was it a cheesy bootleg or something? Is that why?
No, it wasn't. It were a drum and bass bootleg of Gammy Elbow, Chris Lorenzo, and DJ Zinc. But the reason why it got targeted so badly was because it was in Ministry of Sound, and the Ministry of Sound crowd that love tech house and techno, that they go to listen to, like, as if they play this shit in Ministry of Sound. But people say the worst things possible, like this music's cancer, this music's AIDS. People have nothing better to say than that sort of stuff. Like it's kind of nuts. You've just got to, you can't let it get to you. You've got to be a bit thick-skinned. I know that's easier said than done, but if you let it affect you and your life and your career, then you why are you even in it? That's a sad part of it. So if you're invested in this and progressing as an act, that is a part of it. Like that is a sad part of it. So you either get rid of that part of it by, I don't have a notification on any of my socials apart from WhatsApp or text messages and my phone calls. I don't have any notifications on, because you just sit there addicted to these figures, and I thought that video was really good, and I don't know how many likes it's got. It's not got as many as that other video. I don't know why it hasn't got as many likes. And you're playing like an emotional roller coaster with yourself. So you just have to get rid of that side, post your content, and don't watch it. Like, if people are saying nice things and you want to comment back on things, comment back. It makes people feel good, and they're like, it's nice to be nice, I suppose, but you just don't get too obsessed by the figures. The only thing that really matters is how happy you are. And if you're around touring and you're getting gigs, you're happy with the money that you charge him, and you're building a good life and a good future from it, that matters so much more than the number of figures. Like, there's There's people getting millions and millions of plays and streams a week that have got full-time jobs so that they can afford to go and do the odd guest set here and there. There's also people that get probably 50,000 views a week that are getting paid $5,000 a set. Like, the figures don't always matter. You can still sell tickets without just focusing on the popularity and the figures. Just enjoy it though, you know.
Yeah, one bit of advice I'd offer to the social media side of things is that when I put stuff out now, and what I've done for quite some time, is I'll run it by someone whose opinion I value, who I actually care about. So it's usually my wife, Eden, and I'll let her see the post or the content that I'm putting out. I'm happy with it. And if she's happy with it, then I'll put it out, because whatever comments come in then, whether they're good, whether they're bad, you know, I'm happy with it, and the people that care about me are happy about it. So I don't give a shit.
But you know yourself, if you posted something and got 100 nice comments and 2 negative ones, you probably wouldn't even notice until 3 days later when you check it again. You're not sat there watching each individual notification coming through because you're too busy focusing on the next job. You're too busy focusing, or you sat relaxing with your family.
Yeah, I mean, I stopped caring about what other people thought a long time ago. That's why I just kind of tick the box of, am I okay with it? Are the people that I know and care about okay with it? Then I don't give a shit what comments I get on that. So
I do the same with my manager. I'll write something, send it to him, and he'll send it back correctly. You know, if something's not really necessary, he'll take it out, or, you know, he'll just, between us, we make sure it's spot on. Because, you know, do you know one thing I stopped as well? I stopped 2 or 3 years ago now. I stopped having an opinion online. Keep your opinion to your family chats. If you want to talk about, if you have a political opinion, speak to your friends about it or speak to your family about it. If you start venting it online, that does 2 things. One of 2 things. You either make people who like you the same because you're the same political party, or you have the same opinion on something, or you make people that like you dislike you. There's only a negative can come of it. So I just stopped having an opinion. Like, if there's a big DJ argument going on online, I just let it happen. Let them argue. Let them. Don't be like, oh, this is wrong. This DJ shouldn't have ripped their music off of YouTube. Like, EZ's ripped one of my tracks off YouTube, and I could have posted online going, this is a fraud, EZ. You shouldn't rip music off YouTube. I just if that's what him or his team have done, it's whatever it is, what it is. I don't care. Thanks for playing one of the tunes that I made. Do you know what I mean? You don't have an opinion too much online, because people get so caught up with their own opinions on a genre and hate. There's nobody successful that actively goes out of the way to hate on people. I've never, ever, ever been insulted or put down by someone within a genre that's successful or happy. It's always people that are unsuccessful and unhappy. So if you're letting unsuccessful and unhappy people affect your life and your career, then why are you even in the game? Don't be in the game and get pushed out by people that are just irrelevant. They're not relevant to your happiness. They're not relevant to your career progression. They're only relevant to their own little unhappy life. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going out of their way to tear people down. They'd be too busy focusing on progressing their own lives and their own happiness.
yeah, man, I hear that. Block out the haters. Right, so you use Malia as your platform to build the Danny T brand and create an experience for people, creating a lot of good content that you then released online that got you known around the country, and the bookings started coming in. The bookings got bigger, your fee got bigger, you was charging me more money. And
eventually that were a fair few arguments, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And then you just progressively got bigger, leading up to your own headline shows. You started off doing the O2 Academies, which...
No, I did church first.
Oh, yeah, church.
before church in Leeds got closed.
So you'd done church, then you did O2.
Yeah, then O2.
And then you went as big as you possibly could and got Leeds Arena, which I was so happy about when I seen it. But the promoter in me was like, bastard, he's got that before us.
Yeah.
And I just thought, yeah, what gigantic balls you've got to get the biggest venue in the city and do your own headline show, not even with any guests. That's what I really want to stress here.
Well, yeah, you asked me this, didn't you, just on the phone the other day?
Yeah, I said, because what I wanted to know was like, you literally promoted that show just on your name, even though I knew you had 10 to 15 special guests, including Tom, who would have been worth another 1,000, 2,000 tickets, and you didn't release anything. You literally headlined that show yourself. You didn't announce any guests. So I wanted to know what the reason was behind that, how you had the balls to do that, and just, yeah, what was going on mentally during that whole Leeds Arena event.
So church was 1,500 capacity, first headline show. That sold out in 4 days. O2 Academy didn't sell out as fast. The tickets were double the price. But it sold out a month before the event. So we'd gone over 2,000 capacity. We wanted to double that. That was the vision. How can we double that? Where can we go? So the arena took a long time to become an option, but it did become an option. And do you know what? Genuinely, there was never any option other than just go for it and sell it. Sell a load of tickets. Sell it out. Sell as many tickets as you can. Just go for it.
So when that phone call came and they said, right, we can get Leeds Arena, because even I would be like, I'd take a moment and think, like, fuck me, that's going to cost shitloads. We're going to have to sell shitloads. It's going to take everything.
It was never an option. I just had to go for it. I want to progress. I want to take this as far as it can go. I didn't really think about the time that I could have probably lost my house if it hadn't sold well, or I didn't take those sort of things into consideration. The initial outlay just to put on an event like that's the best part of 100 grand.
So that's what you was committed to?
Yeah. And I suppose I didn't even give it a second thought. Now I think back, I'm like, I understand why no DJs have attempted it now, but it was never, oh, should I do it? Can I sell that? It was, go do it. If I'd have sat back and thought, oh, can this sell out? Can this sell a lot of tickets? Can it make money? Can it break even? If I'd have thought about that, 50% of my time would have been worrying. 50% of my time would have been working on it. It was never going to sell out with 50% commitment. It needed 100% thought into it, driving it forward, trying to sell it out just to sell it out. Otherwise, it wouldn't have sold anywhere near. It wouldn't have sold the dance floor out. No way. If I'd have worried at any point, I'd have just had to. I wouldn't have done the show if I'd have worried. If I was going into the show with a 50% worry and a 50% excitement and work drive, it wouldn't have sold out.
And I guess logically, you'd really built them foundations from the resident DJ, from touring the country, then doing the church show, then the O2 shows. So it was a natural progression, and it wasn't just as if you went.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't just leave a Wednesday night at Yates's and go, right, I'm going to sell out the arena. The ironic thing is, Leeds Arena is 400 yards away from Yates's, where 3 years before the arena I got sacked from DJ on a Wednesday night for 100 quid, pound a pint. So, it's everything's kind of endless. You've just got to have vision and drive. If it had gone wrong, I don't know. There wasn't even an option for it to go wrong.
But financially, if it had gone wrong, you would have lost your house, your car.
Oh, I lost a lot.
Your wife.
My wife, yeah. The dogs. I had to sell the dogs.
I guess when you put everything on the line like that, and I have been recently in that position, yeah, there is no, when you've got no plan B, you've got to make sure plan A works.
Got to work. There's no option but selling a load of tickets. I didn't think the dance floor, like I didn't think that the floor standing would sell out.
No.
I didn't have it in my head that it would sell out. I wanted to sell it out, but I didn't have it in my head like, yeah, this is going to sell out. I wasn't arrogant enough to think that it would easily sell out.
Mm-hmm.
But you just had to go for it. Just had to go for it, and it did. And now people are going, when are you doing Elland Road? And I'm like, oh God, not like a bit of pressure to double it up again, is there? But yeah, but I had to do it. You asked about doing it with no act. If it had been Danny T presents this 25 grand lineup, it isn't the Danny T show. That it's not me that did it. And it wasn't just for, it's for progression, I suppose. It's for, you know, if you went to promoters and people who put on the massive festivals, like I've got SW4 Creamfields, fingers crossed if that goes ahead this year, you can't go to them and say, oh, look, Danny T's sold 5,500 tickets to this show. And then you look at it and there's a 25 grand lineup, because they're going to go, well, no, the tickets were sold because that act was on it, that act was on it, that act was on it, and that act was on it. Whereas if you do it on your own, it's like they cannot, you know, you can't argue with, all right, yeah, he did it all himself. It's all his hard tickets. You can't argue with that.
So even though you had the biggest show of your life in front of you, you still looking at the even bigger picture from that.
Yeah. That's what it was. It was, even if the show had made no money, it was about career progression. It wasn't. It's amazing that I've sold out the full dance floor of Leeds Arena. That's amazing, and that's something I'll take with me forever. But it wasn't just that. It was always a vision of where that can then take me. And, you know, some monster festivals have come in since then. Well, some of the biggest festivals in the country. And
going back to the arena show, well, going back to even Malia and your resident DJ roots, from listening to your story, you always seem to have that bigger picture. You've always got that bigger vision. You was never settled as a resident DJ. You looked to become a headline act. And then when you was getting booked around the country, you then saw a bigger picture to do your own headline shows. You did your own headline shows, and you've looked for the biggest venue you could possibly get. And even with that, you was seeing a bigger picture from that to use that as a springboard to get onto bigger lineups, bigger festivals, and boost your profile further. So you're continuing and looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, you're the same though. It's but don't get me wrong, like if after this lockdown I could not never DJ again, but if everything went sour, everything went bad, clubs didn't open, I don't think that will happen. I think it'll be bigger than ever. But if it all went to pot, I wouldn't be unhappy, because I've done what I set out to do. I've achieved everything I set out to do and more, and achieved even further than those achievements. I've set new goals, and I've never, you know, it's happiness and success are two totally different things to me. It's my success isn't to do with my happiness. My happiness is there anyway. My happiness is something that no one will ever see me even working on. My happiness is just putting yourself in the right place every day and waking up and feeling good and having energy and you know, I suppose having goals, having vision is part of the happiness, whereas the success, that's already happened. If that can keep going, fair enough, but that won't stop or make my happiness go higher or lower, because that's a completely separate thing.
Yeah, it's about what makes you happy. You know, when I'm sure people say, you know, why did you go bigger? Why didn't you just be happy with what you had? But
like, well, you'll know as well, if I could have done the O2 Academy and then done the O2 Academy twice a year for the next 5 years and made miles more money than the risk of the arena show, and then bigger things after that or whatever. But it's not just about the money. It's like, you know, it isn't just about the money. It's about the journey and the success, and not just standing still and becoming stagnant. I've seen a lot of DJs stop trying to progress, and their music and their name has stopped and become stagnant. And that to me is like, I hope that doesn't happen. So how can I stop that happening? By keep growing and keep achieving more things. Like this summer was set to be like monstrous. I'm not upset that it's not going ahead. I'm disappointed, but it is what it is. And I know that I'll be able to do more things after this to kind of project even further, have some even bigger visions.
Yeah, what next? What the hell are you going to do next?
Who knows?
Are you going to do the arena again?
We'll see what happens. When's this video going out?
Welcome to the Party Starters podcast with me, Kane Towning.
I know you're gonna dig this.